Hello folks, and welcome to Linux for Seniors. Now in today's video I am going to be showing you Linux Mint 21.1 Cinnamon Desktop, the updater down here. All the particulars that is associated with that icon. And I'll also get into showing you different Linux kernels. The Linux kernel is the heart of the Linux operating system. My video is going to be more than 2 minutes. I would encourage that you are a subscriber heavily. I'm going to take you on my YouTube site just briefly to talk about a couple of things. Hopefully you will subscribe. My channel is fairly new. My previous channel I had over 450 videos on. My new channel only has a couple of dozen videos currently. However, as this thing grows, this becomes important over here. This little tiny magnifying glass that everybody doesn't pay attention to. And it's only available on your regular web browsers, not on your mobile device. You can do keyword searches. All of my videos are indexed with keywords. And they always will be. Let me give you an example of something like this. M-O-U-S-E, as in computer mouse. These are all the videos that have the keyword mouse in them, whether it be in the title or somewhere else. There's the word mouse. This is an MX video. There's the word mouse. This is a Linux Mint video. There's the word mouse. This is a Gen 2 video. And another one that says mouse, this one. Here's another one that has something to do with mouse, because this basically is LMDE, which is another Cinnamon desktop from Linux Mint. Is what I'm getting at is when this list grows to several hundred videos, trust me, this will become your friend, unless you like to scroll. Alright, that's still up to you. I do post stuff in the community sections occasionally. I threw that up there to have some fun. So if you got a smartphone, get out your smartphone and scan that. It'll say Linux for Senior, and more importantly, you can bookmark my YouTube site and share that information with your friends and family. My new channel, Linux for Seniors, is targeted toward folks that want to learn in a relaxed environment, but want to just take their time watching information. Linux is for everyone, but I'm doing this for seniors and Linux enthusiasts. So basically, you can watch my videos in multiple sessions when you're a subscriber. In other words, you start a video, hit stop, come back tomorrow, the next day or following week, and hit go again, and then you'll play from wherever you stopped it. I do have some links over here. Just wanted to point that out. And I think I'm just going to point to the About section briefly. There's some links in here. So anyways, I'm not sure if you know too much about Linux Mint, if this is the first time you've seen any of the videos for Linux Mint. But this is Distro Watch, all about Linux and BSD. Mint is number 3 on this page hit ranking thing. I like this website because it shows particular information on the most popular Linux distributions. A little over 200 of them, I think. Anyways, Linux Mint is based out of Ireland, and it's a Debian and Ubuntu based system. So they also have an LMDE version. So there's Cinnamon Desktop, the most popular, made in XFCE. XFCE is more forgiving on older computers. They have a live medium. That means you can test drive it. It's listed as a beginner, but I can tell you I can do advanced stuff with this thing too. Okay, so with that said, let's move on and talk about this little icon down here. Or should I give you system information first? I think I should get this out of the way. So basically, what I'm going to do here is type in Neofetch. Neofetch is just a command where I call it what's in the box. System information. Linux Mint 21.1, their latest version of the Cinnamon desktop. And please don't read into any of this hardware that you need all this horsepower. You don't. I use these computers for other things. Okay? So somebody asked me the other day, why do you have so much RAM? Because I do other things. And I'll just leave it at that. Now let's move on. So let's talk about this icon here. Your system's up to date when you see this shield. There's no dots on it. You can point at it. Did you also know you can right click on these things? There's a refresh button. So right now I've got a half a shield. That means it's checking. You can actually point to that and it says checking. If it finds something, it produces a dot. So obviously there's nothing there. So it's up to date. What else can I do by right-clicking? Well, there's a little info box here. What's it been doing lately? Well, that's what it's been doing lately. Right-click on the icon. What's preferences? Well, preferences is how it does its refresh and notifications. If you are going to alter any of these three tabs, well, actually just really the two tabs here, may I advocate that you go to your Mint menu. In my case, it's Linux for Seniors, but in your search field, type in SC. Look for that screenshot tool. And, you can drag it over to your desktop. I already have a copy of it down there, so I'm not going to put another one over here or even here because I got one here also. But you can also send this to your desktop. So I'm going to do that manually. Double click. I got three selections. I got screen, window, and selection. What's the difference? Screen just makes a photo or a screenshot of this box, the wallpaper, and if your wallpaper is really busy, these file sizes become very large. And it also take a picture of your panel bar if you need all that. However, if you just need this information here, then do window. If you do selection, it's just once you take the screenshot, everything turns a different color, and then you just draw a box or one around whatever. You can do that inside of web pages too. It's kind of cool. So screenshot. And you can send these screenshots either to the desktop or whatever designated folder. But I do encourage that anytime you alter settings, you take at least a window screenshot. All right, now let's move on. So you can see you can alter numbers. And also here. And there's also an automatic maintenance tool that removes obsolete Linux kernels. Keep in mind, your Linux kernel is the heart of your Linux system. This would be done on a weekly basis if you activate that. Make sure your system snapshot are properly configured. I'll talk about that in a second. So what's the last item? That was preferences, right? So the last item is you mistakenly hit that quit button, and a lot of people panic. Don't. There's two things working for you. One is this tool here on startup. Providing no one turned that off, it's going to look for that update manager. And this is editable for minutes also, or seconds I should say. In this case it's 5 seconds. Anyways, just make sure that's turned on. The other thing is if you need it right away, or I would just suggest doing that in case you did this anyways, is type in UP. It should be the first one on the list over here, and just click it. And it'll automatically start looking for an update and then close it. Now the icon is back. So these are refresh, information, preferences, and quit by right-clicking on the icon. Now I'm going to click on the icon. What else can we do? Lots of things. First of all, that's what you want to see. And some word of advice here for you folks. Security updates. That's very important in today's environment. Make sure your system is up to date with those things. Don't sit there and ignore them. You can always hit refresh and it'll double check the system. It's the same thing as you right-clicking here. It's the same refresh. Okay, what's in the menu? Well, on the file, it's very simple. It's close window or quit. Under edit, we have preferences. Again, screenshot. If you're going to make any changes here or here. I don't have anything in the blacklist. So I'll close that. I've got to wait for it to do its update. System snapshot. What is that? It's Timeshift. Make sure that it's active. You should always make sure you're at least running a couple of copies of your Timeshift. I have the previous version in here too. Your settings are in here. After you set this thing up, obviously you want to see that green shield there, but more importantly, if you're running out of hard drive space, for some reason that you're using a really small hard drive and you want to reduce some of your backups, you can turn the schedule down to like maybe 2. I wouldn't go below this. I normally, in my previous videos, would say that is the bare minimum. If you have a big enough hard drive, then leave the default at 5. 5. I have a 1 terabyte drive. Where are these stored? Let me open up Nemo, the file manager. My icon looks different from yours. In the file system, Timeshift, daily snapshots. Right click, properties. Just giving you an idea how big some of these can get. This is now over 10 gigabytes and counting. It's 11. There are a bunch of these in here. So yes, they can eat a lot of your hard drive space. Where am I at? All right, Timeshift. Snapshots. At a bare minimum, just check that. Make sure it's running. You can see also where it's going. In my case, I'll just let you look at mine for a second. I have multiple hard drives. I told you I do other stuff on this system. So 5 is the minimum or default when you set up your Timeshift. Also, please be aware, dragging this back out, it is excluding your personal files. So basically, don't think about Timeshift as backing up your personal file under default conditions. If you activate this, you better have a big hard drive on any of your users. This tool is meant to be very fast to back up your system files, not your personal. You can back up your personal files doing a lot of different ways, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I'm going to move forward now. So I stopped at System Snapshot or Timeshift, and I'm going to move to Software Sources. Where's the stuff coming from? Where's your software coming from? Let's log in here for a second. I also have additional PPAs and repositories, which I'm not going to click on. I'm going to focus in on the simple stuff here today. So your main packages are coming from Mint, and the base packages are from Ubuntu. So hence Linux Mint and Ubuntu. However, there is one more area which you will not find anywhere information on it. And I'm going to open up the software manager. Your icon will look different. And point to the fact that this software manager here contains Flatpak software. That comes from flathub.org. Okay, that's not listed here though. Just wanted to point that out. All right, so why did I bring this open? Well, let's say you're having difficulty with an update. It's stuck for some reason, whatever it might be. And you want to switch to a different mirror. What's a mirror? So a mirror basically is another site that contains the Linux Mint website. Linux Mint's software, packages, software, applications. And then same thing with Ubuntu. Now I'm going to click this, and it's going to open up a window. I'm going to let this thing scan for a minute or two or a second or two. And I should have moved that out of the way. But anyways, depending on how you sort that with that arrow, it's going to look for the fastest download. So if Linux Mint is not the top dog, you can select something different. I'm going to hit Berkeley, and I'm going to hit Apply. Because now it's a different source. Your configuration has changed. Basically update your apt cache, your package manager cache, and it's going to update that for the mirror for Berkeley. It's going to double check the system, and it's still up to date, right? What if you change your mind and you want to go back to the defaults with Linux Mint? Do you need to click in here? No, just click this right here, restore defaults, and do the cache thing. And you're done. Now you're back to default. Okay, so there's two places Linux Mint gets its software for the Linux Mint 21 version, not LMDE. LMDE, Linux Mint Debian Edition will say Debian in here and Mint up here. All right, so now you learned a little tip there. So that was software sources. Moving over, we have view. These are fairly self-explanatory. You just click on what you want to view category-wise and descriptions. History of updates may be important to you. You can also resize these boxes and the in-betweens. So right there is a good split. So that's the last package was updated. On this particular time and date, it was Warpinator. Warpinator is a file sharing type of application designed by the Linux Mint team. Old version was 1.4.4. The new version is 1.4.5. Chromium is a web browser. It went from 109 to 110. You get the idea how this works? Okay. It's just a history. It's good to have though. After your update, you're going, what was updated? This would be a good place to look at your history. Moving along. Linux Kernels. The LMDE5 version does not have this category. The Update Manager operates similarly, if not identical, in that version also, with the exception of this one. So in Linux Mint 21, or 21.1 in this case, it does have different Linux kernels. What are Linux kernels? Linux kernels is the heart of your Linux operating system. Whenever you enter this menu and alter things, I am going to advocate that you take out your digital camera and take a picture of this thing, or your smartphone. And also, in addition to that, probably make a screenshot so you have this information and understand it. So in a nutshell, when you alter Linux kernels, again, Linux kernels is the heart of your system, it will never delete the previous kernel. But this shows you how to actually, when you reboot the machine and you're having problems, again, don't panic. You can boot into the advanced menu and pick the previous older kernel. And then you can uninstall the new one that was giving you trouble. So if you don't want to see this message anymore, just be aware of that you can click that. Then you won't see this message anymore. I personally don't think that's a good option, but anyways, make sure you take a picture of this on your smartphone or your digital camera. Take a screenshot of that, put it on a different computer possibly. Or if you have cloud storage, take that screenshot and send it to the cloud storage. That way you can pull it from your mobile device in case you ever have problems logging in to Linux Mint. Now I'm going to continue. So if you have operated Linux Mint for a while, in the past couple of versions, there'll be different categories in here. And sometimes they'll say obsolete or superseded or some of those kind of buzzwords. You are currently using the following kernel, and that's the number. Again, the kernel is the heart of the Linux system. Supported until blah, 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 and Linux Mint always will produce a kernel before it expires. Where's another area you can view this information? Actually, there's several. You can open up Terminal. You can run the inxi command. You can right-click and hit System Settings. Just for simplicity wise, go to Hardware and click System Information. Your kernel information is right here. So if you're wondering what kernel you're booted into, all you need to do is go to System Information and, System Settings, which can be found in your Mint menus with this icon, or you can just put in S in here and E, and it should be somewhere in this top menu here, System Settings. Okay, so that's the kernel, Linux kernel. All right, so that's what that means, that it's currently running this version. As you noticed, I got different categories. So let's click the 515. Now, the higher the number, the newer the kernel. You may have heard of maybe 6.6 kernels, the bleeding edge kernels. Yeah, sometimes they're, well, let's put it this way, sometimes they can be buggy. So I have 57 installed, 58 installed, and I have 60 active. That's what this means. That means it's running. But these are installed in my menus where I could actually pick them. So I have technically 2 old ones that I could pick from. Or do I have more? So I got 2 old ones and this brand new one that I'm currently running. So I don't have any of the 19 kernels. But I could install that if I wanted to. And if I had difficulty with it, then I would reboot back into my previous kernel and uninstall this thing if it's giving me troubles. You can also do remove kernels. You can also do an automated process. But more importantly, I want you to understand that this is the kernel that you're currently using. So one more time with the Linux kernel, it's the heart of your system. All right, so close that. Edit, Preferences, Automation, Automatic Maintenance, remove obsolete kernels and dependencies. That's what that does. And you do have to log in to make this change. Now it's going to set up a schedule on a weekly basis and remove old kernels. Okay, so I'm going to leave mine on. Make sure your system snapshots are doing its job. and I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. That's kernels. Information. Well, it's just the same audit trail as I were to right click and click that. Close. Let's see, we left the information. So help, here's your welcome screen. Hit OK. Still goes back and checks your updates. And then there's keyboard shortcuts. So this is keyboard shortcuts for the update manager. So how do you read this stuff if you're not familiar with keyboard shortcuts? Anytime you see stuff like this, it's hold down the control key and hit, in this case, W for close. There's also regular keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to show you a little tip if you're not familiar with this. Hold down your control key on your keyboard and press the F1 key on the top row of your keyboard. It will produce this dialog box called shortcuts with 3 tabs. The most common for Linux Mint and Microsoft Windows are possibly these guys. A very common is Control, hold it down, and the C key if you're highlighting something to copy. And you can actually use that in a text editor, text editor and word processor, and also if you are cutting and pasting files or folders. Control C, Control V, very common. Also works in Microsoft Windows, the same commands. Control X, C, V, and A, they all work the same in Microsoft Windows. So here's some keyboard shortcuts for you. One more time, Control, hold it down, F1. What happens when you hit F1 without the control key? That goes to a different, it actually pulls up the Linux Mint installation guide. FYI. Back to Update Manager. So that was keyboard shortcuts where I left off. I don't really use these, but you can now take a look at them. So contents, it's just a help guide. Okay. And then, of course, the about. This is called Mint Update. That version there. Here's the website. And if you wanted to know what Clem looks like, I called him Mr. Linux Mint, very knowledgeable man. And there he is. Anyways, folks, there you have Update Manager in a nutshell. Well, hopefully you have enjoyed this video and have subscribed. I have lots more coming down the pike as time moves on. All I got to say is thank you so much and take care, folks, and have a great day.